Hey folks, my name is Nathan. Welcome back to yet another Salty Productions YouTube video. Today we are doing the Goldfishing playtest companion video for my recent Abzan armor Precon upgrade guide. If you haven't already seen that video, go back to that video, watch that first, then come back to this video because we're going to actually cover a few playtesting rounds, and that guide will have all of the discussion around all of the card swaps, etc. So we're going to do a couple of playtesting matches here. The first one will assume very little interaction. The second will assume a medium amount of interaction from our opponents. Okay, so let's hop into the playtester. We've got, let's see, 2 lands here. We've got a piece of potential land draw with Satyr Wayfinder. Caravan Vigil is going to also be a pseudo land, and we've got a nice toughness creature with Treebeard here as well, and then a piece of ramp. So this opening hand is looking very good. So let's go ahead and keep this. I think we actually want to play our Lush Portico first, but first we're going to draw our first card for the turn and move to turn 1. Okay, so let's actually sort our hand here. So Caravan Vigil I'm going to keep in the back as a land. Let's go Lush Portico. We're going to Surveil 1, and let's keep that on top because we need to draw our lands throughout the course of the game. Let's go to turn 2, and we will draw said land, and then I believe Sunpetal Grove will enter untapped, and we will tap one of our lands here to cast the Caravan Vigil to go search for a swamp because we are missing black mana. So let's search up that swamp, and that will move to our hand. Then that will go into the graveyard, and we don't have any other 1 mana plays, so let's go next. So let's then drop that swamp, and now we have all Abzan colors, and I think we have the option of casting either the Satyr Wayfinder or we have the option of casting the Axebane Guardian. Now the Axebane Guardian will tap for 1, which isn't great. So do we need to draw more lands with the Satyr Wayfinder? Not really, although I think in this case I'd rather curve out and play the Axebane Guardian for 3. Okay, so next turn will be on 5 mana, so Bountiful Promenade, and this is a particular deck where we don't necessarily want to be casting our commander on curve because it's really more of a combat enabler, and it is nice to have it on the field when we want to sack something, but I think for now we can get a little bit of card advantage out with Fecund Greenshell by playing that ahead of our commander here. So Fecund Greenshell, whenever it or another creature control toughness greater than its power enters, look at the top card. If it's a land, you may put it on the battlefield tapped, otherwise put it in your hand. So let's look at the top. Okay, so that will go into our hand, which is a defender as well, having synergy with the Axebane Guardian. Then we'll go to next turn here, and I think we are out of lands. If we play Crashing Drawbridge first, we are on to 4 mana, which means we could cast our commander or a 2-drop and another 2-drop. So what I actually prefer here is to probably tap for 2 to cast the Crashing Drawbridge. So now I've increased our defender count for Axebane Guardian. Then we are going to tap for let's see. We are going to tap the Axebane Guardian for 2. Then we'll play out the Emerald Medallion, and then we will tap 1 mana to cast the Satyr Wayfinder. So when ADTBs reveal the top 4, you may put a land card from among them into your hand, put the rest into your graveyard. So let's grab that. Sungrass Prairie will go to our hand, and the rest go to our graveyard there. Then we can play out our land for the turn. I do believe we haven't made a land drop quite yet. So now we have, let's see, I think 2 mana left, and that is completely fine. I think we passed the turn there. Crashing Drawbridge as well does trigger the Fecund Greenshell. I just shoot. That would have changed the outcome of that particular let's see. So actually we can check our graveyard because the order, I believe, Analyze the Pollen was on the left. So what we need to do is Analyze the Pollen would actually go to our hand in that case. And then the next card we would have drawn off of the Satyr Wayfinder would be this one. And the Forest would have gone into our graveyard anyway. So that just means we end up with a Forest in the graveyard and Analyze the Pollen in our hand because that was at the top when the Crashing Drawbridge did enter. Not a bad turn. Let's go next turn, turn 6 here. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana at our disposal with all of our green spells costing 1 less to cast. I think, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we could play Rampant Architect for 3 plus a Treebeard for 3, although I do want to run out Felothar. So I think we play Felothar for 3, and then we go Rampant Architect for 3 as well, and then we use our last mana to cast the Analyze the Pollen. I think we actually get 1 more mana out of, let's see, if we play the Rampant Architect, we can get 1 more mana out with the number of defenders. So let's do that. So let's go this into this will make the green white, and then that will produce 3 mana to cast Felothar, and then this will trigger our Fecund Green Shell. So we're going to look at the top card of our library. That will go into our hand. Then we have, let's see, so for 3 additional mana, which unfortunately I do have to tap the Axebane Guardian in order to play out the Rampant Architect, which I thought I would have been able to. Let's see, so if we would have done that the opposite way, Rampant Architect for 3 would have left us with enough green mana. Okay, so let me actually redo that. We'll go Rock's Faithbender on top, Felothar Guardian will go back into the command zone. We're being a little loosey-goosey with it today, folks. Okay, so if we do that in reverse, so let's go Rampant Architect for 3 mana, and I think we're just going to tap the Sungrass Prairie. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we have, let's see, so we're going to use 3 of that, so we have 2 remaining, and we'll create a 1/3 token with Defender, which unfortunately Architect does not have. So this food is a Defender, folks, just remember that. So now we have 2 mana. We can tap the Axebane Guardian for, so this will produce our black for Felothar and the white-green, and then we will add, I believe, green to our mana pool here with Axebane Guardian. So we'll tap this for 1, 2, 3 total mana. So now we're back up to 5, meaning we can then cast Felothar, which will then trigger Fecund Green Shell. Look at the top. That will go into our hand. And then we have 1 remaining with Analyze the Pollen, which will go ahead and cast to search us up. Let's see, we probably want another swamp here because we are a little bit low on mana, although I think I might only have 1 swamp in the deck. So let's actually grab perhaps just a plains, and that will actually, our mana here, yeah, let's grab the plains. Let's grab the plains because we need the white. So that will go to our hand. Analyze the Pollen goes to the graveyard. We're looking so good with this board state, folks. We could attack with the Crashing Drawbridge. We could attack with the Fecund Green Shell. So let's assume those get in for some beats there now that we have a bunch of defenders up, which is looking pretty good. Okay, so then let's go next turn to turn 7. What we're looking for is some sort of overrun effect here. We do have the Akroma's Will as well. If we were to cast the Akroma's Will this turn, we could swing for a total of 46 power in the air after factoring in the double strike with evasion and life gain, which is looking pretty good. Alternatively, we could tap Felothar to sack something to draw a bunch of cards, given that now we have a bunch of mana to use. So I think what we would probably do for this turn is to cast our Akroma's Will, swing in for a bunch of damage. Maybe we would leave up a blocker or 2. That would cost us 4 mana. Then we would tap our Axebane Guardian for a total of, let's see, and we can actually remember ourselves out of basics. So if we actually tap Felothar before we use any of this mana, we would get rid of the Defender, and then we would have Rampant Architect trigger, and then we would search our library for a basic land card, put that card on the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. So we would grab ourselves a forest, and that would go to the battlefield tapped, I believe. Then Akroma's Will for our 4 mana. Then we would tap Axebane Guardian in response to the Rampant Architect before that actually hits the graveyard to add 3, so we're at 5 mana total. So we would be able to cast probably a Rock's Faithbender before we actually swing out with our creatures, and then we will be able to swing out for just a bunch of damage with Akroma's Will giving everything double strike and lifelink because we control Felothar. Also, we would draw the actual cards off of Felothar. Totally forgot about that. We would have Rock's Faithbender double our life gain off of Akroma's Will, so we would gain something like 40 life and swing for a bunch of damage. Let's assume we were able to take out an opponent there. Then we will be able to move to our next turn, and let's see, would we have to no, we'd be at 7. So then we would, play another land, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we would have a total of of, and then we would probably attack with a Rampant Architect as well, which would have made another defender, which would trigger Facoon Greenshell, but we're just being a little bit conservative with our assumptions, so we would be able to tap for 4, perhaps. Then we could continue to gain a bunch of life with Tristani or Treebeard as well. We could play out, swing for a bunch of damage, and then, yeah, I don't know. From there, I think we'd be in a good position because we'd have removal, we would have card draw, we would have a ton of life gain, we'd have artifact and enchantment removal, and we'd have even more ramp, and we have card draw with Felothar as our commander on the battlefield. So I think that is a pretty successful Goldfish. I think we would have lethal by between turn 8 or turn 9, with turn 7 probably representing lethal on one opponent. So let's go next game here. Let's see, here we have a perfect opener. We have 4 lands, we have a ramp piece, we do have Reunion of the House, and we have Balden for another buff effect, which is pretty nice. So let's keep this. We're going to go turn 1, Overgrown Farmland, enters tapped, and I also forgot to uptick our turn counter there, so let's actually go turn 2. We draw yet another card because it is turn 2. Then we will go Plains, and then we will go, I believe we want to just cast that Emerald Medallion right away. Then we go turn 3. Let's go Arbor Adherent as well as our ramp piece. Then we go next turn. Then we go Deathcap Glade. Let's see. So we have, let's see, greatest toughness among other creatures you control. Here, I think we actually go 4 for Felothar in order to get just a big toughness creature onto the battlefield so that we can tap Arbor Adherent for a total of 5 mana. And I believe we can actually leave up a forest here because that would have only cost 1 less with the Emerald Medallion. So now we have, let's see, 5-6 mana at our disposal to use. So here, I think we go, what is something we want to sacrifice? Let's save the Balden for an overrun effect, but what is something we're okay with sacrificing with Felothar? I think we probably want to cast the Tree of Redemption off of that, plus the Wall of Roots, because we have 6 mana, so let's go 4 + 2. So now, next turn, we can sack the Tree of Redemption to draw 13 cards with Felothar, which is absolutely insane. So we could play Witch Enchanter as a land, but I'm assuming we're going to hit a land drop with our card draw, so let's hold off for now. And actually, that would have only cost us, I just realized, discounted mana, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway because we don't have anything else to cast with the Emerald Medallion once we would have played out the Wall of Roots and the Tree of Redemption. So let's go Felothar, 1, 2, 3, and then tap 2 to sacrifice the Tree of Redemption to go to our graveyard, and then we are going to draw 13 cards and then discard 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Just looking absolutely ridiculous here. Okay, so now let's see. We wanted to play out a land. So I think, what is the best land in all of these cards, preferably entering untapped so that we can actually do something with it. Isolated Chapel, because I think we're good on lands. So let's actually dump the rest of our lands here. Fabled Passage, let's get rid of. Generous Ent. Glasswing Grace we can get rid of. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Twilight Mire we can get rid of. And then I think we keep the Witch Enchanter as removal, perhaps. Let's get rid of the Jaws for discard. Actually, hold on. Okay, so let's actually play out our turn here. These will just be off to the side because we're going to discard them. So we're locked into Arbor Adherent, only tapping for 1 color, which is unfortunate. So what that means is we probably use it for green. And then let's add, okay, so that's going to add 5. Then Wall of Roots is going to shrink to 2. Let's see, so that's going to add 6, and then we have 7, 8 here. Okay, so we've got 8 mana, of which 2 is black and white. Okay, so let's go Wall of Blossoms for 1, draw a card, that puts us down to 7. Satyr Wayfinder for 1, puts us down to 6. We're going to reveal the top 4, put land into our hand and the rest into our graveyard. It doesn't really matter, we didn't hit a land there, so let's go everything into our graveyard. Everything into our graveyard. We've got 6 mana remaining. Let's go Let's go, actually, if we sequence this correctly. Okay, let's go Fecund Green Shell before all of that. So that's going to cost us, let's just assume we cast that first. That's going to cost us 4 mana. So we go down to 2, and then we get, oh, that would have changed the Satyr Wayfinder triggers again. Okay, so we have to put these back on top of our deck. Unexplained Absence, Soaring, and then Battle for Bywater. And I think the ordering of that, if I remember right, was the Unexplained Absence, Battle for Bywater was here, and then that. Okay, so Fecund Green Shell. So then we play the Wall. Oh my gosh, I would have drawn the cards though with Wall of Blossoms. That is unfortunate. That is unfortunate. Okay, so Exotic Orchard was what we drew off of the Wall of Oh, shoot. Well, yeah, so we drew the Exotic Orchard off of the Wall of Blossoms, so that would enter tapped if we got the Fecund Green Shell trigger here. So let's do that, and then we would have drawn this next card. Then we would have had the Satyr Wayfinder trigger. So we would have drawn that from Wall of Blossoms. We would have had the Satyr Wayfinder trigger, so which we'll do now. So all of that goes in the graveyard anyway. That's perfectly fine. Then... so we have 2 mana remaining, 2 mana, 2 mana, 2 mana. We could go Wall of Omens, which I actually like here, to then draw another card, and we will stack the Fecund Green Shell trigger. So let's go Fecund Green Shell trigger. That goes into our hand, and then Wall of Omens, draw a card. Okay, Reflecting Pool will probably just be discarded into our land pile here. So then we have to discard for the turn. And then we'll send the Brush land as well, because we have untapped lands here. 3, 6, 9. Let's get rid of, we've got a bunch of, I actually don't really like Jaws of Defeat in this particular scenario. I like the Smuggler's Surprise for late game play. I think we actually, and we're kind of ahead on board, so let's get rid of the Slaughter the Strong. Okay, so all of this will go to our graveyard. Then we will go next turn, and I think we have a pretty clean Balden play here to swing in for a bunch of damage. Swamp enters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for Balden. And then let's see. Oh, it has to attack. Well, that's unfortunate. That's going to delay us for a turn. We will have a Fecund Green Shell trigger. Let's see. That goes into our hand, and we are going to be able to cast 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see. A bunch of removal here. So this is going to tap for 7. We can add 1 to our Wall of Roots. So that's going to be, let's see, 8. Let's see. Add subtract toughness -1. So we have 8. So we're going to dump out pretty much, I think, the full modes of Smuggler Surprise here. So we're going to mill 4. You may put up to 2 creature and/or land cards from the mill cards into your hand. Then we can put 2 creature cards from our hand onto the battlefield, and we will give our creatures with power 4 or greater. Actually, no, I don't think we really need to do that because we don't have any with power 4 or greater. So let's activate the Smuggler Surprise. So mill 4. Then what is the effect here? You may put up to 2 creature and land cards. Okay, so let's add, I think we want probably a land, or let's see. So Shadrix is really good. And then we'll do the Llanowar Wastes. These go into our graveyard. Then the second mode, and by the way, I think we have, let's see, so it would be 6, that would be 8, so that's going to take 3, so that's going to take 7. I think we have 1 left. So Smuggler's Surprise will go to the graveyard, and then we can slam 2 creatures onto the battlefield here, Shadrix, and then we can also do, I think we can also do, oh gosh, I think probably Witch Enchanter to get rid of something, I think. Okay, and then we will have a Fecund Green Shell trigger off of the Shadrix entering. So let's look at that. That goes into our hand. And then, of course, we're ready to swing out next turn. But what do we do this turn? I think we don't have the mana to activate Felothar. Do we have anything for 2 mana? We can cast out the Milliken with our remaining 2 mana as well. We do get the Fecund Green Shell trigger off of Milliken as well. So let's go Sidar Kondo to our hand. And then from there, I think we can swing for a lot of damage, but we don't yet have the buff with Balden Century Herdmaster. So if we assume that maybe Felothar was removed by our opponents, maybe we assume that maybe, I don't know, we've had to chump block with perhaps the Satyr Wayfinder on an opponent's turn, and we might have had to chump block with a Wall of Blossoms just to be be a little bit more reasonable there. So let's go put that over there. Okay, so then we'll go next turn. And do we have any more buffing type of cards in our graveyard? Oops, Felothar was supposed to move to the command zone. Okay, so then let's check our graveyard really quick. We do have a lot of creatures we could return from the graveyard to the battlefield with our Reunion of the House. So I actually like if we encountered a mass board wipe here to cast the Reunion of the House. But also if we had our Baldan hit the graveyard, we would definitely cast the Reunion of the House to reanimate that. Sidar Kondo would also help us to get through blockers, so maybe that's what we do. We go 4 for the Sidar Kondo just to make everything a little bit easier to get through, and then we could even recast Felothar here if we tap the Abhor Adherent for, I believe, 7 mana at this point, plus the Wall of Roots would go down, so we would get 8 mana off of our triggers here, and then we could then recast our Felothar. So we would recast that for 6, and that will put us down to 2 mana floating. So then we would get a Fecund Greenshell trigger, and that will go to our hand. So we've got 6 mana to use, so then we could cast then the Unexplained Absence or the Will of the Abzan, which I actually like better in this case, to then reanimate something, and then any number of targeted opponents each sack a creature with the greatest power among creatures that player controls and loses 3 life, and we will go ahead and reanimate one of our creatures from the graveyard to the battlefield. And in this case, I really like the Tree of Redemption because it's going to play well with the Arbor Adherent. That will go to the battlefield. We will get another Fecund Greenshell trigger here, and we will add a Sun Petal Grove to the battlefield tapped. And then I believe the rest of these go on the... Oops, I'm sorry. It was just the top one there. I don't think we do anything with the rest of these. Yeah. Okay, so then, let's see. So then we've got our Sidar Kondo. Is there any cards we can draw with our remaining mana? I don't think so. So here we would be ready, and I think we'd actually have 1 mana up from the Sidar Kondo from the Emerald Medallion discount, but whatever. That's totally fine. So with Felothar on the field, we can attack for a 4/4 Wall of Omens, a 2/2 which and then Shadrix would be a 5/5 flying double strike. Milliken we would probably not use. Let's see, so that would enter tapped as well. I think we'd be able to cast something for 2, but that's fine. I think I'm not seeing anything we could cast here. And then Fecund Greenshell could get in, the Wall of Roots could potentially get in, and then definitely the Baldan Herdmaster will be able to get in. And all of this would be unblockable, so creatures your opponents control without flying or reach can't block creatures with power 2 or less, and we would be swinging everything with power 2 or less as well, with the exception of the Fecund Greenshell, so we would probably be able to get in for a lot of damage there. Baldan would buff everything by +0/+6, giving everything +6/+6, so we'd probably be able to swing for lethal here by turn 7, and then next turn we would definitely be able to swing for lethal, casting Soul Shatter, Unexplained Absence, adding 13 mana with the Arbor Adherent, getting a lot of blockers out of the way with Unexplained Absence, Soul Shatter, and then we could exile an opponent's graveyard, and we could then reanimate our whole graveyard if we wanted to. So I think that gives a good, shows off how the deck can really pop off here. The Arbor Adherent doing a ton of work, the Fecund Greenshell doing a ton of work, and Shadrix Silverquill getting in for a ton of damage, Baldan getting in for a ton of damage as well. So that is my Goldfishing playtest video for my upgraded to Abzan armor deck. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like on the video and subscribe to see more, and check out my Patreon link down below. That's where I'll wrap up the video, guys. Thank you all for watching once again, and hopefully we'll see you all in the next one.